Genesis. Not just the first page of the Bible, but the first breath of all existence. A whisper in the void. A divine pulse that shattered the silence of nothingness and gave birth to time, space, and life itself. In the beginning. Those three words don't just tell us when something began. They tell us who was already there. Before science spoke of particles and expansion, before stars danced into being, there was spirit, love, order. Vision. God did not create out of boredom. He created out of love. He didn't need a universe. He desired communion. And so with one eternal command, "Let there be light," he poured himself into creation. Not just energy and atoms, but meaning. Have you ever wondered why light was the first word spoken into the void? Why not land, or sky, or life? Because light is not just physical, it is spiritual. Light is the presence of clarity in chaos, purpose in confusion. It's the gentle reminder that no matter how deep the darkness, a single word from God is enough to transform it. And perhaps that's the word some of us still long to hear today. In a world often wrapped in confusion, pain, and silence, "Let there be light" is not just history. It's a prayer, a promise, a possibility. Before anything had shape, the Spirit of God hovered, tenderly, purposefully. Like an artist over an empty canvas. The Hebrew word used, rashaf, suggests the image of a mother bird fluttering over her nest. Creation didn't begin with force. It began with care, with rhythm, with sacred intention. Nothing in Genesis is random. Every act has echo. Every word carries weight. Day by day, God speaks, and the universe listens. Each day isn't just the making of matter. It's a lesson about how the Creator moves. He separates light from darkness, sky from sea, land from water. Separation isn't rejection, it's preparation. Before beauty blooms, boundaries must be set. Before purpose can fill space, chaos must be named and ordered. Even now, how many of us are being lovingly separated from the things that once defined us? Not because God is pushing us away, but because He's creating room for something greater. On the third day, land rises, not as an afterthought, but as a foundation, a place for roots, for growth, for fruit. And out of that land comes vegetation, life from dust, nourishment from soil, seeds carrying within them the next generation. Can you see the message hidden in the soil? That even from what seems dry, life can burst forth. That every harvest once began as hidden potential. Maybe right now your life feels like soil, dark, unnoticed, and silent. But beneath that silence, God may be preparing fruit that you cannot yet see. The fourth day comes, and with it the sun, moon, and stars. Not merely as lights, but as signs, markers of seasons and rhythms. Creation is not chaotic, it is patterned. Night and day, work and rest, time itself obeys the song of heaven. What if we lived that way, in rhythm with God's timing? What if we trusted that there is beauty in both light and darkness, in growth and in stillness, in summer and in winter? The moon is no less chosen because it shines at night. And you too have light, even when no one else sees it. The sea comes alive next, fish of every kind. Wings spread in the skies. Creation is suddenly moving, free, wild, abundant. And yet, even in this wildness, there is purpose. Each creature according to its kind. Each sound a note in God's growing symphony. The sea and sky teach us about trust. These creatures fly and swim in vast unknowns. They are sustained not by control, but by design. Could that be our lesson too? That our freedom is found not in certainty, but in surrender? Then comes the sixth day, the day when the land teems with life. Animals roam, ecosystems flourish, and finally, in a moment unlike any other, God forms humanity. Not just created, but crafted. Not just spoken, but shaped. He breathes into dust. He gives his own breath to man. Let that settle. The breath in your lungs right now is a divine echo. You were made in the image of God, not just to live, but to reflect. Not just to consume, but to co-create. You are not an accident, you are not forgotten. Before you were formed in the womb, you were imagined in the heart of God. Genesis reminds us that your story didn't begin with pain. It began with purpose, with dignity, with divine intention, and yes, with responsibility. Because to be made in God's image is also to be entrusted with His creation. Stewardship is sacred. Every tree you protect, every life you respect, every act of care toward the earth is an echo of Eden. God saw all He had made, and it was very good. That declaration still stands. Despite our pollution, our division, our brokenness, what God made was good. And the goodness is still there, waiting to be uncovered, restored, redeemed, maybe even in you. And then, the seventh day, the day of rest. Not because God was tired, but because He was finished. Completion is holy. Rest is not weakness, it's worship. It's the moment we step back and say, it is enough. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, speed, and endless output. But Genesis teaches us, even God paused. Even perfection rests. When was the last time you did? Sabbath is not just a day, it's a posture. A space to remember that we are not machines. We are souls. And rest allows us to return to who we are and who He is. It realigns us with the rhythm of heaven. The creation story is not just ancient text. It's your origin, your identity, your calling. It tells you that life began with love, that order rose from chaos, and that you were made for more than survival. You were made for communion. What part of this story echoes most in your heart? Is it the light breaking into darkness? The breath of God in your lungs? The rhythm of rest you've forgotten? I invite you to pause, reflect, and share in the comments, because your voice might awaken something sacred in someone else. If this video gave you light in a dark moment, if these words settled something deep in your soul, or reminded you of beauty beyond the noise, I invite you to offer a small kindness back. A gesture, a word, a way to help this journey continue. Every bit of energy you send helps me keep creating spaces like this, spaces where faith breathes and truth heals. And if you want to walk deeper into these stories, into Eden, into Exodus, into the heart of Scripture, subscribe. Stay close. Let's keep journeying through the Bible, not just to understand it, but to be transformed by it. Thank you truly for being here. May the same breath that stirred the waters in the beginning stir your spirit now, and may you carry this light into whatever darkness you face next, because in Him, the story is always just beginning. In the beginning, the earth was empty and formless. Darkness hung over the deep waters, and the Spirit of God moved across the waters. Then, in a moment of divine intention, God spoke, "Let there be light," and there was light. This moment marked the first step in the creation of the universe. It was not just the creation of physical light, but the beginning of clarity in a chaotic world. The separation of light from darkness was the first act of order in the universe. It was a sign that even in the vast expanse of the unknown, God's hand was at work, bringing structure to the seemingly random, bringing understanding to the confusing, and bringing peace to the restless. In our own lives, we often find ourselves surrounded by darkness, be it the darkness of confusion, fear, or uncertainty. Just as God spoke light into existence, He speaks light into our hearts. When we feel lost or unsure, it is the light of God that guides us, bringing clarity where there was once only confusion. Just as God separated the light from the darkness, He calls us to find clarity in the chaos of our own lives. We are to seek His light to lead us through the darkness, trusting that, even when we cannot see, He is working to bring peace and order to our world. The creation of light wasn't just a physical act. It was the beginning of divine order, the foundation of life itself. The lesson is simple. When we allow God's light to fill our hearts, we too bring light into the world around us. We are called to reflect His light in everything we do. Whether through kindness, compassion, or wisdom, we are to be the light in the world that guides others to Him. The creation of the sky and the sea. And so, after the light was created, God continued His work of shaping the world. He said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." And so, the sky was created, a vast expanse between the waters below and the waters above. This vault, the sky, was not just a physical space. It became a symbol of the distance between the earth and the heavens, the boundary that separated the seen from the unseen. Just as the sky separated the waters, God also separated the sacred from the profane, the holy from the ordinary. The sky was created to be a boundary, a reminder that there is something higher, something greater than what we see in the world below. It was a constant reminder to mankind that we were made for more than the earth beneath our feet. The sky became the place where God's glory could be seen in the stars, in the sun, and in the moon, reminding us of His majesty and His presence. For us, the sky serves as a reminder to lift our eyes above the chaos of everyday life. We are often so focused on the earthly struggles, the daily battles, that we forget to look up, to seek God's wisdom, and to find His peace. The sky, with its vastness and beauty, calls us to lift our hearts to something greater than ourselves. It invites us to seek a higher purpose, to look beyond the moment, and to trust in God's plan for our lives. The sea, too, plays an important role in this creation story. As God gathered the waters together and called the dry land earth, the seas were formed. They were not just bodies of water, they were also places of life, full of mystery, full of creation. The sea is vast and deep, a symbol of the unknown and the unsearchable, yet it is also a source of beauty and life. In the sea, God created creatures of all kinds, fish, whales, and sea creatures that swam beneath the surface. The sea was a place where life would thrive, a place where God's creativity would overflow. For us, the sea represents the depths of life, the places in our hearts that are unknown, the parts of our lives that are hidden beneath the surface. Just as the sea teems with life, so too do our hearts teem with potential. But like the sea, we must allow God to bring order to the depths of our souls. The waves may crash, and the waters may be tumultuous, but beneath it all, there is a depth that is full of purpose. God invites us to dive into the depths of life, to explore the unknown, and to trust Him to bring life to the hidden places within us. The creation of dry land and seas. On the third day of creation, after the sky had been formed and the waters separated, God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And so the waters gathered together, and the dry land appeared. God called the dry land earth, and the gathered waters he called seas. This moment was not just the formation of the physical world, it was a declaration of divine intention. The land was not created to be barren, it was created to be a place of fertility, to bring forth vegetation, to bear fruit and life. The earth would be a place of growth, a place where life would flourish. In our own lives, this creation speaks to the importance of growth and fruitfulness. Just as the earth was commanded to bring forth vegetation, we too are called to bear fruit. Our lives are not meant to be stagnant. We are created to grow, to develop, and to bring forth good things into the world. The earth, in its bounty, reflects the potential within each of us to bring forth beauty, wisdom, and love. However, the lesson goes deeper. The earth was not just created to produce, it was created to be in harmony with the rest of creation. The land did not exist alone. It was part of a larger whole. The seas, the sky, the earth, all were interconnected. God's creation was designed to work in perfect harmony, each part contributing to the flourishing of the whole. This is a reminder for us to seek balance in our own lives. We are not created to live in isolation. We are part of a larger community, part of a greater plan. As we grow and bear fruit, we must remember to contribute to the well-being of others. Our lives are not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of the world around us. The seas, though vast and often unpredictable, also serve an important purpose. Just as the seas were gathered and defined, we too must learn to define the spaces in our lives. The boundaries God set between the land and the seas remind us that there are places in our lives where we must create structure and order. Without boundaries, there would be no order. The seas could overtake the land, and the land could be submerged. But with God's divine plan, each part of creation was placed exactly where it needed to be. This principle applies to our own lives. We must set boundaries to protect the things that are important, our time, our energy, and our hearts. Without boundaries, we risk allowing the chaos of the world to overwhelm us. But when we live with intention and structure, we allow the fruit of our lives to grow in abundance. We create space for peace, joy, and love to flourish. The land and the seas, both powerful in their own right, remind us that we are called to create balance in our lives. Just as God separated the waters from the land, we are invited to separate the distractions from the priorities, the chaos from the peace, and the noise from the quiet moments that connect us to God. The beauty of creation lies in the harmony between all its parts. Similarly, we must strive for harmony in our own lives, trusting that God will guide us to the right place at the right time for the right purpose, the creation of vegetation. As God continued his divine work on the earth, he spoke again. Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And so the earth obeyed, bringing forth vegetation of every kind, grasses, herbs, trees, all bearing fruit and seeds, each according to its kind. The land blossomed with life, as God filled the earth with plants and trees to nourish and sustain the creatures he had already made and would continue to create. This act of creation was not just about the physical world, it was a reflection of God's abundant provision. Every plant, every tree was a testament to God's care and foresight. He did not create the world empty, but he filled it with provision, each plant and tree designed with purpose, offering sustenance to those who would come after. When we reflect on this, we see that in our own lives, God provides for us in abundance. Just as he created the earth to bear fruit, he calls us to bear fruit in our own lives, fruit that nourishes not only ourselves, but others as well. The lesson here is about productivity and purpose. Just as the trees bear fruit and the plants produce seeds to multiply, we too are called to bring forth fruit in our lives. Whether it's the fruit of love, patience, kindness, or wisdom, God desires us to live lives that reflect His goodness. The earth was not created to be barren, and neither were we. We are created to thrive, to bear fruit, and to make the world around us a better place. The trees and plants of the earth are living examples of God's provision and the life He longs to see grow in us. But there is also a deeper lesson in the way God created the vegetation. He created them according to their kinds. This speaks to the divine order in creation, where each thing has its place and purpose. Just as the plants and trees were created to bear fruit according to their kinds, we too are called to embrace who we are, understanding that God has designed each of us with unique gifts and purposes. We are not all meant to bear the same fruit, but we are all meant to bear fruit in the way God has created us. The key is to live in alignment with His plan, trusting that as we grow and bear fruit, we are fulfilling His divine purpose. The creation of sun, moon, and stars. On the fourth day, God spoke again, saying, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years." And so, God created two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, the sun, and the lesser light to govern the night, the moon. He also created the stars. These lights were placed in the sky to shine upon the earth, to bring light and order, and to mark the passage of time. The sun and the moon, along with the stars, are not merely sources of light. They are divine instruments set in place to bring rhythm to the universe. The creation of the sun and moon also carries deep spiritual significance. The sun, which rules the day, is a symbol of God's glory, radiating warmth and light to the earth. It reminds us that God's presence is constant and unwavering, just as the sun rises each day. The moon, which governs the night, is a reminder of God's faithfulness even in the dark times. Just as the moon reflects the light of the sun, we are called to reflect God's light in our lives, especially during times of trial or darkness. The stars, scattered across the night sky, remind us of the vastness of God's creation and His infinite wisdom. Just as there are countless stars in the sky, so too are there countless blessings and promises from God. When we look to the stars, we are reminded that God is the creator of all things, and His power is beyond measure. Yet, in His infinite wisdom, He cares for each one of us, placing us in our own unique positions within His grand design. The sun, moon, and stars also mark the passing of time, days, seasons, and years. This speaks to the importance of seasons in our own lives. Just as the sun rises and sets, bringing light to the day, and the moon governs the night, bringing rest, we too go through seasons of light and darkness, of activity and rest. Each season has its purpose. Whether we are in a season of growth, a season of rest, or a season of waiting, we can trust that God is at work in all things. Just as He created the rhythm of day and night, He also orchestrates the rhythm of our lives. The creation of sea creatures and birds. On the fifth day, God spoke again, saying, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." And so, God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing that moves in the waters, as well as the birds of the air. The seas were filled with fish, whales, and all sorts of creatures, and the skies were filled with birds, each according to their kind. With a word, God brought to life the creatures that would inhabit the waters and the skies, each one uniquely designed to live in its environment. The sea creatures and birds serve as symbols of freedom and life. The birds, flying freely in the sky, remind us of the freedom that God desires for us. Just as birds soar above the earth, we too are called to rise above the circumstances of our lives, to live with a sense of freedom and joy that comes from trusting in God's plan for us. The sea creatures, dwelling in the depths of the waters, remind us of the mysteries of life, of the unknown depths that we are invited to explore. Both the sea and the sky represent different aspects of God's creation. The sky, a symbol of freedom and transcendence, and the sea, a symbol of mystery and depth. But there is also a lesson in the fact that God blessed these creatures, saying, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." This command to be fruitful is not just for the creatures of the sea and the air. It is a command for us as well. Just as God blessed the animals to multiply and fill the earth, He blesses us to multiply in love, in kindness, and in faith. We are called to be fruitful in every area of our lives, whether in our relationships, our work, or our service to others. The blessing of fruitfulness is not just for the animals of the earth, but for each of us as we follow God's calling. The creation of the sea creatures and birds also teaches us about the interconnectedness of all life. Just as the sea creatures and birds live in harmony with their environment, we too are called to live in harmony with God's creation. We are not separate from the world around us, but are an integral part of the ecosystem that God has designed. Our actions impact the world, just as the birds and sea creatures are impacted by the balance of nature. This lesson calls us to care for the earth and to be responsible stewards of the world God has given us. By living in harmony with God's creation, we reflect His love and care for all living things. As we continue to reflect on these acts of creation, let us remember that we are called to be fruitful and multiply, not just in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense as well. Just as the sea creatures and birds fill the earth, we are called to fill the earth with love, joy, peace, and all the fruits of the Spirit. Our lives are meant to be a reflection of God's creative power, bringing light, life, and love to the world around us. The creation of land animals. On the sixth day, after the sky had been filled with birds, and the seas with creatures of the deep, God spoke again. "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And so, the earth brought forth every creature, lions, elephants, wolves, deer, and countless others, each uniquely designed to live in harmony with the land. God's creation continued with astonishing diversity, filling the earth with life in all its forms. The creation of land animals speaks volumes about the richness of God's imagination and creativity. Each animal, from the smallest ant to the largest elephant, was made with purpose. The variety of life on land serves as a reminder of the beauty and diversity. No two creatures are alike, and yet each one plays a vital role in maintaining the balance of nature. This diversity is not just in the physical attributes of each creature, but in their behaviors, their roles within ecosystems, and their contribution to the world. As we reflect on this, we recognize that God's creation was purposeful in every detail. From the grazing sheep to the prowling lion, every animal serves a specific function, whether as a source of food, as a symbol of strength, or as a caretaker of the earth. In our own lives, we are also called to embrace our unique roles. Just as each animal contributes to the greater good of the ecosystem, we too are designed to contribute to the world around us. The lesson here is clear. We are each given talents, gifts, and a role to play in God's creation. It's up to us to discover those gifts and use them for the betterment of the world. Yet, the diversity of the animals also invites us to learn the power of balance. Just as the animals coexist in an intricate web of life, we too are called to live in harmony with one another. The challenges we face in relationships, work, and life itself can often feel overwhelming, but the animals remind us that we were made to live in community, with love, respect, and care for one another. We must not only embrace our differences, but also learn to work together, understanding that each of us has a unique part to play in the larger picture, the creation of mankind. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." And so, God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it." This moment, the creation of man, marks a pivotal point in the story of creation. We are told that we were created in the image of God. This is not just a physical likeness, but a spiritual one. To be made in the image of God means that we reflect his divine attributes, his creativity, his ability to love, his capacity for reason and understanding, and his potential for great good. Just as the animals were created for specific purposes, so too were we. We are created to reflect God's image, to mirror his love and goodness in the world. The first blessing God gave to mankind was the command to be fruitful and multiply, to fill the earth and subdue it. This mandate speaks to humanity's role as stewards of the earth. We are not merely inhabitants of this world. We are called to care for it, to cultivate it, and to ensure that it continues to flourish. The creation of mankind is not just about our relationship with God, but also our relationship with the earth and with one another. The creation of humanity reminds us that we are stewards of God's creation. We have been given the responsibility to care for the earth, to love one another, and to reflect the image of God in all that we do. Being made in God's image is not only a privilege but also a responsibility. It means that we are called to live lives that reflect God's holiness, his justice, his mercy, and his love. It means that we are called to be caretakers, not just of the earth, but of one another. Whether in our families, our communities, or the wider world, we are to reflect the love and grace of God. Our lives are meant to be a reflection of his character, a light that shines in the darkness, bringing hope and healing to the world. The creation of the seventh day. Rest. Thus, the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So, on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. The creation of the seventh day, God's day of rest, holds profound significance. After 6 days of speaking the world into existence, God took a moment to rest. This was not because God needed rest, but because he desired to set an example for us. Rest is an integral part of God's design for us. Just as he created the world in 6 days and then rested, we are called to take time to rest and recharge, both physically and spiritually. In the busyness of our lives, it is easy to forget the importance of rest. But just as God rested on the seventh day, we too are called to set aside time for rest, reflection, and renewal. The blessing of the seventh day speaks to the importance of rhythm in life. Just as the world has a rhythm of night and day, of seasons and cycles, so too must our lives have a rhythm of work and rest. The command to rest is not a suggestion, but a divine command meant to restore us. In our rest, we are reminded of God's goodness and faithfulness. Rest is not merely a break from our work. It is a sacred time to reconnect with God, to reflect on His goodness, and to be restored in body, mind, and spirit. The creation of the seventh day teaches us that we were not made to work endlessly without pause. Our lives need balance, and part of that balance is the intentional act of rest. Rest allows us to hear God's voice more clearly, to recalibrate our hearts, and to be strengthened for the work ahead. Just as God set apart the seventh day as holy, we are called to make rest a holy part of our lives. It is a time to be with God, to be restored, and to trust that He will continue the work He began in us. As we reflect on the creation of the seventh day, let us remember the importance of rest in our own lives. How often do we rush through life, forgetting the need for spiritual renewal? How often do we push ourselves to the limit, only to burn out? The creation story calls us to rest, to trust in God's provision, and to make time for the things that truly restore our souls. As we come to the end of this journey through the breathtaking creation story, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on the beauty of the world around us. From the first light that God spoke into existence to the wondrous diversity of creatures that fill our seas, skies, and land, every part of this world bears the fingerprint of God's creative power. It's a world that was made with purpose, with intention, and with love. And just as He carefully shaped the earth and all that is within it, He has carefully shaped our lives with a divine purpose as well. In every season, in every sunrise and sunset, we are reminded that we are a part of something greater, something divine. The world may seem chaotic at times, and life may feel overwhelming, but remember that God created everything with His hands, and He continues to work in our lives, shaping us, refining us, and making us into His image. Just as He breathed life into the world, He breathes life into us each and every day. The story of creation isn't just about the past. It's about the present and the future, about the way God continues to create in us, to make us more like Him. The message is clear. We are not accidental beings. We are divinely made, purposefully placed on this earth to reflect God's glory, to live lives that bear fruit, and to shine His light in a world that so desperately needs it. Just as God looked upon His creation and declared it good, so He looks upon you and me and sees potential, beauty, and promise. We are His beloved creations, and we have been called to live in the fullness of that truth. And as we embrace that truth, we must also remember the importance of rest, the holy rest that God modeled for us on the seventh day. Life can feel like an endless pursuit of more, but God's invitation to rest is a sacred one. It's a reminder that we don't have to do it all, and we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. God invites us to rest, to trust in His provision, and to find peace in His presence. That peace is what allows us to reflect His love more fully, to be a light in the darkness, and to share that light with others. If you felt encouraged, if this message has stirred something in your heart, or if you found a sense of peace in these words, I want to invite you to support this channel. Every like, every comment, and every subscription helps us share the love of God with more people who are searching for light in this world. If this video has brought value to your soul, or if it's helped you find hope in the midst of life's challenges, please consider showing your support in any way you feel led. Your encouragement, no matter how small, makes a world of difference. It's a gift that allows us to continue creating and sharing these messages of hope, love, and God's truth. I want to thank you with all my heart for being here, for being part of this community, and for sharing in this journey of faith with us. Your presence means more than words can express. I'm so grateful for you, and I can't wait to continue sharing the beauty of God's Word with you. Together, we can spread the light of His love and make a difference in the world, one video at a time. As we continue this journey together, let's remember that God's creation is all around us, in the sky above, in the ground beneath, and in the hearts of those we meet. May we always be mindful of His presence, grateful for His provision, and ready to shine His light wherever we go. Thank you for being a part of this family and for joining me in sharing the goodness of God's love with the world.